What's it like being a female expat in Asia? How do I get my pet to Asia if that's what I want to do? And what is the story as the difference between a female expat in Asia, particularly Southeast Asia, and a male expat in Asia? I want to talk about that a little bit today. And the reason for it is because of a quite satirical site that I've started to follow on Facebook that addresses some of the sort of archetypes, if you like, of male expats. And for the first time, they touched on the topic of women in Asia, expatriate women in Asia. Now, before I go any further, I must say I am squinting all through this video. It is the monsoon season where I live, so the cloud is out, but boy, it's glary, and I really regret leaving my sunglasses in the car, but sorry about squinting at you. So I've spoken a few times before about some of the, when it comes to dating for expat women, what that is like. And I've talked about this idea that it's not because, it's not because you're unattractive or, you're finding it hard to get a date. It's because a lot of the expat men who have moved to Southeast Asia have done it with the specific thought in mind that they're not really interested in the women of their home country. And that could be for a variety of reasons, Maybe they've been burned by somebody before, or, they feel like they're not as attractive to the women at home, so they're going to move to Southeast Asia where other things might be attractive. It's a very, very complex issue. It really, really is. And I have discussed it before, and I'll try and link the other videos where I've talked about it from the perspective of dating for women. But this particular article, which was written by a satirical group, they're very, very funny, they're quite biting, really caught my eye because it was talking about the suspicion between female expats and male expats if they're in a bar. So a table of female expats sitting in a bar and a table of male expats sitting in a bar, and the suspicion between the two groups. And it was sort of addressing that issue. And I thought it was really funny and really well done. So one of the most obvious things about the difference between females and males in that situation is that the women are looking at the men in the bar who are hooking up with these, younger girls, or they're trying to crack on to the bar girl. And they might, I'm not saying that they do, but they might see them as kind of, a bit pathetic, or there might be sort of some judgment there, right? And that's what happens. It's true. And what is she judging? Okay, so she's judging the things that I just talked about. Oh, well, the only reason he's here is because, he crashed and burned, back in England or back in Australia, can't get a date with a woman who is his equal. So he's, using his, let's say, economic power to swing himself around. And pick up somebody who's well out of his league and would never, somebody equal to him of a similar league, would never ever touch him in the home country. That's part of what she's thinking. And yeah, I think that that's probably true, and I'm guilty of doing that. And towards the end of this video, I'll tell you a little story about that. A guy in my street who, over the years that I've known him, has gradually managed to, how can I say this politely? He has managed to lower his standards in terms of the girls that he's picking up. Oh, that's a terrible thing to say, and it's very, very judgy, but it's true, and I'll prove it. I'll talk about that a bit later. But that is one of the things. Yes, okay, expatriate women who see these guys who are clearly, what do they say, batting above their average, or, however you do that, however you say that, that's what they're doing. And the suspicion is, well, look, she would not be with you if you weren't paying for these things. She just wouldn't, that's what you're doing. You're using your economic clout to score a woman who's clearly far more attractive and much younger than you. And I fear it's a judgment call, but it's one that we regularly make. So then what is he thinking about those expat women sitting together as a little gaggle, having a look over at him? Is he judging them as well? Yeah, he probably is a little bit, He's suspicious of them because he sort of feels alert to his situation, and he tends to think of them that, well, you know, they've come out to Asia because nobody else wants them and they're always going to be single, and they're exactly the type of woman, they are exactly the type of woman that he didn't like at home, and he doesn't want to have anything to do with them. And he feels perhaps some kind of guilt about what's going on, but not really, because, you know, he's doing his life and they're doing their lives. But there is this kind of weird, there's a weird kind of suspicion between these two groups. So where does this all come from, and is it fair? And I don't know that it is fair necessarily. I tend to not judge about, you know, what people do in their private lives, what you do in your bedroom, so long as you're not hurting children and animals. I really don't care. But yeah, I think as someone who's lived in Asia for nearly 3 decades, I think I've seen quite a bit of what goes on, and I'm not naive at all. But I'm choosing to say that, and I have talked about the fact that I see it far more from a financial perspective from the case of the local girl in Southeast Asia. And here I'm not talking about people who you've met at work and, you know, you're working with. I'm talking about the girls who are working humble jobs, who don't have a lot of money, their family doesn't have a lot of money, and he comes in and he might not have a lot of money either, but he's got more money than she has. And I have talked about that before. I look at it from a financial point of view, and I always say that for me, I've been very lucky. You know, I've grown up with the right passport and the right education, and I've had opportunities. So I don't mind if that's what it is. Is it transactional? Yeah. Somebody said to me, all relationships are a bit transactional. Yeah, maybe that's true too. So I don't judge it in that way. But it is fair to say that there is quite a lot of suspicion between those two groups sometimes. And unfortunately, I think that ruins what could otherwise be a fun shared experience. You know, I've got guy friends who I'm not interested in romantically at all, that you know, if they rock up with this girl that they've met, you know, she in the massage parlor earlier, I don't care. I really don't care. You know, if you like her, I don't have to sleep with her. And if she can handle him, well, good for her, I say, you know, 10 points for the woman. So I do find that a little bit funny. Now, I mentioned before that I wanted to talk a little bit. I'm just going to gossip now, so just get ready for my gossip. So I live in a street that is, I would say, predominantly mixed marriages. So most of the people who live in my street, mostly, there are some just Thai families, like husband-wife Thai families. There are some expat families as well, you know, husband-wife, you know, with maybe some kids, or not too many actually. They tend to be a bit older in my street. And the rest of them, I would say 60% of the people who live in my street is a Thai wife and an expat guy. And I would say that of that 60% or more possibly, most of those relationships are what I would describe as, you know, long-term, really long-term relationships. So quite often I've discovered that the women who live in my street who are Thai, who are married to a foreigner, they have also lived in his home country for some time. They speak, you know, good other languages, not always English. He might be Dutch, and they speak, you know, they speak Dutch. Is that a language, Dutch? German, whatever it is, Dutch is just a language. Yeah. So you know, it's like that. I would describe my street as a street very much of what I would describe as perfectly equal and good relationships. Yeah, some of the girls are a little bit young, but they're not girls. They're in their sort of 40s, 50s. And my very next door neighbour is a lovely lady. Her name is Rose. She's Thai. And her partner, Dennis, her husband, Dennis, he's British. They've been together for ages and ages and ages. Now, she's got a daughter from another marriage who would be probably in her 30s. So they've been together but Dennis and Rose have been together for quite some time. So you know, very, very lovely. And she's really great. What I love about her, and this is one of the great things about if you open your mind, if you are an expat and you decide to open your mind to, you know, meeting the locals as well and getting to know people from around your area, is that we both have dogs, and the dogs get along really, really well. I live in a townhouse, so she's, you know, we share a wall, so you know, we're pretty close. And she tells me all the gossip. She lets me know all the gossip. And the other Thai ladies, because they know that, you know, Rose and I are friendly, they let me know the gossip as well. So there's a guy in our street, and I think I'm pretty safe saying this because he'll never see it, but he is a single man. He's not a native English speaker, but he's a European guy, or European looking. And when I first moved into the street, which was quite some time ago, I'm going to say like 8 years ago, he had a great Thai girlfriend who worked in a bank, and she had a car, and it was all very equal. It was all great. Nobody cares. You do you. They broke up, and since then he's had a series of girlfriends until he's got this one. And this one, oh golly, I'm going to be so judgmental right now, and you may hate me for it, but this is the truth. She's a fishwife. Oh, she's a fishwife. Oh my God. She's a bar girl. She speaks, and that's okay. Again, I'm not judging bar girls. You need to work in a bar to make money, and perhaps you go home with somebody afterwards. Whatever you need to do to survive. I'm not judging you, but this one, rough. And she's not young. She's not young. She's an older one. So anyway, the reason I say this is because they have screaming arguments. That is to say, she has screaming arguments. He very rarely raises his voice. She stands in the middle of the street, and I cannot repeat on video what she says, but it's a lot of effing and blighting. And she tells him she's leaving. She's going to take 10 baht, something, which is no money at all, like 30 cents. You give me 10 baht and I'll go. Give me 10 baht and I'll go. I thought, you're shouting so much. I'll give you 100 baht. You can go, please. I'll give you 1,000. Piss off. But anyway, she is rough. And she's just good on her for hooking up with that guy. I do not know how he manages it, but last night I was woken up at midnight, and I go to bed early because I get up early. And I was woken up at midnight. The whole street was woken up at midnight with her screaming in the center of the street, "Get out here now! Get out here now!" And the whole street heard it. So, of course, this morning when I took the dogs out for a walk, I took my dog out. My next door neighbor, Rose, took her dog out. We're like, "Oh, did you hear? Did you hear? Did you hear?" So there you go. Even the other Thai ladies are a little bit judgmental when it comes to some of the partnerships with the little Thai men. Should I have told that story? Maybe not, but I've shared it with you anyway. So that's it. Now, I just rolled over and went back to sleep. That's his issue, not my issue, and I don't really care. But I just thought it was funny, life is not always sweet. And you get what you pay for, guys. You get what you pay for. Anyway, on that happy note, hope you have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye.